Not really. It was designed to allow the American dream to go to those for whom a nightmare was likely to follow if ever employment ceased to go up and simultaneously home values ceased to go up. Loan after loan were granted to people who could only qualify by not stating their income and only keep the home if they were able to periodically refinance, take money out to continue making the payments. Now, Ponzi was a transplant from Canada where he learned to offer a better return on banks than the bank could actually place. He improved the scheme by coming up with the concept of this stamp trading, this trading of money between U.S. and foreign nations. Neither one of those applies, but just as clearly, this was an unsustainable concept in home ownership. Unsustainable because it didn't just require that you have a growth in home value. You had to have a growth that was rapid enough for you to basically chase your bounce checks back and get them made good in time. We're living in the post period of that, but we haven't in fact done one reform to change the concept that FHA or any other federal organization would in fact make home ownership available to those who would not otherwise qualify. When President Bush came to us for TARP money, he came asking for money that was going to be used to backstop assets which had a lesser value than they originally had and a greater value than the market was rewarding them. That was the concept of buying it. That's the reason we were told we'd be buying them at or below their current value, or at or above their current value, but at or below their likely future value. The amazing thing is, whether it's now Secretary Geithner or then Secretary Paulson or Ben Bernanke, they never did that. They never could have done it. And in fact, they didn't even change the system of scoring, what we call mark-to-market, for everybody else. One of the things that we will continue to investigate is, how did we get there? How did we get $1.9 trillion worth of subprime loans put onto our GSEs between 2002 and 2007? How did they, in fact, create an environment in which people believed that it was okay to do that? Now, we can certainly blame the 1995 Clinton National Home Ownership Strategy, which, in fact, promoted that and encouraged doing just exactly what they did, but I don't believe we should. I believe we should look at the trail of events and say this Ponzi scheme began at least in 1992, perhaps before, but it continued no matter who was in charge of Congress, no matter who was the president. It's the reason that the countrywide investigation, and now with Chairman Towns' support, the subpoena expands beyond just looking at countrywide, but allows us to go to a multitude of mortgage lenders. Find out whether there were similar programs. Find out whether the entire scheme was based on the idea that you knew the loan was no good, but you didn't expect to be stuck with it. Now, all of us, or almost all of us, undoubtedly played musical chairs when we were children. And did you play musical chairs as a child? Good. They still do it. The fact is, in musical chairs, the whole idea is to pick a safe chair and try to dwell at it a little longer, then quickly go to the next safe chair. That, to a great extent, was what happened. There was only one group that wasn't allowed to be part of the safe chair, and that was the federal taxpayer. I ask a question today, which is, would $180 million between 1998 and 2008 spent by the GSEs, literally the U.S. taxpayers, Freddie and Fannie, was that money spent wisely to promote good, sound practice, or was it part of the reason that members of Congress, House and Senate, Republicans and Democrats, seemed to turn a blind eye when tough investigations should have occurred? And I'm very proud to say that between 1998 and 2008, we had both parties. We had different chairmen. We had different members of the committee. And we had a different president. So this is not something where, and I said proud to say, but proud to say because it means we all own this problem. This is not a Republican problem. This is not a Democrat problem. This is a problem of basic, is government isolated from the kind of influence that comes to us every day? Now, I've been offered a glass of water and I'll probably take one, but except at a widely held event, I actually cannot accept a few dollars worth of gift. I can't accept anything from a corporation. And yet, the countrywide, what we call Friends of Angelo program, or they called it, allowed for discounts of probably up to $5,000 to $10,000 in closing fees and perhaps $100,000 over the life of the loan. Our committee, now on a bipartisan basis, wants to get to the bottom of, was that circumventing the rules of the Ethics Committee? As all of you know, the Senate Ethics Committee has already said that 2 senators who received those discount programs did not violate Senate ethics rules. It's not my job to write the Senate ethics rules or interpret them. It's not even my job to do the House ethics rules. And that's why our subpoena was broad in everything that came to our committee except current members of Congress. Their records will be sent directly to the Ethics Committee, and our oversight will be more about what did Angelo's programs want to do, what did the emails say they were trying to do, why did they target a member of the House, and over and above that, we will be looking at every member of the staff, and there are quite a few. Before I close, I will touch back on ACORN, and there's a reason for it beyond the salaciousness of those videos you all heard. Our report felt that they were an organization that was taking your taxpayer dollars, charity dollars, and private dollars and merging them into political activities, into activities that distorted voter registration and the like. We believe that the scores of convictions of individuals working for ACORN and those videos have all made it clear that this was an organization that was out of control relative to its obligation to the American taxpayers. One of the failures of government, not the failures of ACORN, one of the failures of government is we gave the money without transparency as to where it went, without firewalls, and without accountability. To that end, Chairman Towns, my Democratic counterpart, and I have been pushing transparency through XBRL or viable other formats which can be freely interchanged and viewed. The tools that are available to the American people today to look through the federal government spending are insufficient. Amazingly, although recently the SEC has adopted XBRL and the FDIC has it and a few others, China is ahead of us in having a system for a consistent, easy search capability that, if appropriate, can be made available to all of its citizens. One of the most important goals that I have is to make sure that all of our citizens have access to all of this information, redacted only for the kind of private information like Social Security numbers or other classified information, before the Chinese. But the Chinese have adopted a technology that makes it possible faster. I suspect that their reason for wanting it is a feeling of a lack of control of their people's activities. The reason I want XBRL, along with Chairman Towns, is that I want to make sure that Judicial Watch or Cato or a group on the left or the right has access to this information so that you, the people, can be, in fact, my oversight